Here we are back with the Comet, the British Tier 7 medium tank, playing in a platoon with a T-43 driven by Deutsch Nuzzle. This was played a couple of weeks ago actually. I haven't really been playing World of Tanks for a while. I'm trying to clear my video backlog again.
Let's get this show on the road.
So we've ended up on Ruinberg, which is a decent map for the Comet. We are top tier, which is very good news. And as usual, I decide to head up to the village on the hill, which is generally where you take a medium tank on this map. I load APCR as a first shot. I actually really don't need to in a tier 7 game. I don't think there's a single tank I can't pan frontally. But it's just a habit from tier 8 and 9 games in the Comet. I tend to load my first shot as APCR regardless. And the rest are usually AP. Anyway. In the Comet's decent mobility to use here. It might not go really fast, but it gets up to top speed quite quickly. The AMX M4 is spotted in the open. He is the best player on the enemy team. In fact, the only good player on the enemy team. So I want to get rid of him as fast as I can, preferably without taking hits. And there goes a bounce straight off my gun mantlet, which is quite decently armoured on the Comet. And here the enemy Tiger is, he misses me and begins backing up. Now remember the Comet has 12 degrees of gun depression, which is among the best in the game and the best above tier 6. Aside from the straight email correction, which is 15 degrees. So here I'm able to just butcher that Tiger without being hit back, or at least without being penetrated. Twice, I think, missed a bunch of times, and then in a second you'll see him cry about it in chat. Apparently it was bullshit. No, it was just him being outplayed. I do take a pair of hits from the AMX there, which is a mistake. He does do more damage than me. He's using a 90mm gun, but if I'd actually been able to hit him more consistently, I'd out-DPM him anyway. So I sent him packing, my team dived on him, and then I ran away to engage these guys, who were much easier targets. The T-20 is hiding, so I get a nice lucky blind shot there into the 25 too. He's trying to hide behind, it looks like a fence post is blocking my aim, but I managed to get shots into him anyway. And then with him pulled back, hiding, start looking at ways to dive bomb this T-20. So he's distracted. I jump in, get a nice track shot at him, which wasn't intentional, but certainly a bonus. And then it's time to deal with the 25 too. Unfortunately that shot whiffs. And he's behind a rock. That one also whiffs. Comet's not real great with on-the-move accuracy. It's not bad, but it's certainly no American medium, put it that way. The rest of the enemy team are concentrated around the central plaza while my team sweep around the field, and so this is going to be a pretty easy cleanup. Really the only opposition we got from their entire team was the AMX M4, and he went down pretty fast once I took out most of his health. Terrible whiff there, and then a bit of reaction time lag. And here's a Type 64 shooting HE for some incredible reason. Both of those shots I think hit my hull. If he'd been firing AP, he would have done about 400 or 500 damage to me by now, but instead he was firing HE, so that happened instead. I mean, it's bad enough he was firing HE to begin with, but firing HE from a 76mm gun at a higher tier tank than you is possibly the dumbest thing on earth. Don't ever do what that guy just did. Anyway, with him dealt with, there's nothing stopping the rest of our team from just diving in on these guys in the middle, which is exactly what we do. They get a nice little jump over that crater. Unfortunately, the full suspension animations aren't in for the Comet yet, but I find a nice T-29 here who still has some health on him. Lets me get a bit more damage in. He gets finished off by a 25 too, and then I actually get really lucky with this guy. Now, I should have just stopped and aimed, since he was it seems he was auto-aiming, so that shot bounced off my mantle and then this one missed badly. But it's alright, I managed to get around the back of him anyway, and that's the end of him and the end of his team also. Cool 2600, well actually 2654 damage. I think I got a couple blind shots in on that T25 too. Certainly wasn't doing any blind shitting. But every time I take this tank out, it does show its strengths quite blatantly. It's agile. It's still fairly fast. It's not a rocket like the Cromwell is, but it's quite fast. And that DPM is just wonderful, especially when you're top tier, or even in a tier 9 game. If you can get beside or behind somebody and just start cranking shots into them that fast, they're going to have a really, really bad day. The Comet actually reloads and fires faster than most people repair, because quite a large number of puppies don't have repair skill in their crews, or don't carry repair kits, or at least don't use them on tracks. And so if you track someone, you can basically perma-track them over and over again with the Comet. And the gun doesn't have the highest alpha exactly, but with such a ridiculously high amount of DPM for a tier 7 medium, you can lay out quite a lot of damage quite fast. The biggest problem with the Comet I found is it can actually run itself out of ammo quite easily, because you do have a very fast firing gun and a relatively small stock of ammo. So you run into a bit of a Type 59 situation where sometimes you just cannot carry a game because you literally don't have enough ammo. But the tank cops a lot of hate, just because I guess people are so used to the Cromwell, and the Cromwell is a very fun tank to play. But honestly, as an all-round tank, I would say they're about equal. The Comet actually bounces things sometimes, unlike the Cromwell. The Cromwell's faster. Neither are very good at shooting on the move, both are very high DPM. The Comet's pen isn't so great at its tier, but they are very similar tanks. The Comet is essentially a sort of modernized take on the Cromwell, if you will. They share the same general layout, same shape. I'm not sure what the parts commonality between them was historically, but you can see that there's a very distinct lineage there. Compare the Cromwell to the Centurion and you can see a much more marked difference in design. Historically, the Comet didn't serve very long, chiefly because the Centurion showed up not long after the Comet did and was a much better tank overall. It was kept in service by the Irish. I think there are a couple other countries that used a few of them too. They were decent tanks, and for the end of World War II period, they were actually quite good. It's just that the Centurion was better, and that's really all there was to it. But sadly overlooked in real life, the Comet's actually quite a nice tank in game. Despite suffering that same fate, it is very much overlooked in game. But thankfully it has a few very fierce proponents, one of them being Quickie Baby, I suppose me being another. And I would say it's definitely a good tank. It's a lot of fun to play. Once you get used to the fact you're not as fast as a Cromwell anymore, you can, it's easy to adapt to, really. The jump between the Cromwell and the Comet is not nearly as jarring as some of the other transitions in the various nations' medium tank trees. So, if you don't like the thing, give it a second chance, which is what I had to do. Initially I didn't like it at all, but then I came back to it, and now I really, really enjoy it. I had the same thing with the Cromwell. It's one of those things. It's one of the hidden gems of the game, I think.